By the 520 bridge, they go through Montlake, through Lake Union, through the Ship Canal, out through the locks and into Puget Sound. That's where they make that transition from freshwater to saltwater. They're then called smolt once they've entered the saltwater and have made that transition. Puget Sound is a huge estuary made up of many smaller estuaries. Have you guys learned about estuaries? Estuaries where freshwater and saltwater mix. There's lots of opportunities there for small fish to hide in the eelgrass and kelp beds, things like that. That's where they get used to living in salt water. They start feeding on other types of larvae, saltwater larvae, things like starfish larvae, shrimp, all sorts of different things. And as they grow bigger, they start to feed on fish. And then they'll migrate from Puget Sound out to the Pacific Ocean. They migrate up and down the coast. The Chinook will go as far north as the Gulf of Alaska, as far south as Northern California. The coho go as far north as the Queen Charlotte Islands, and they also go as far south as Northern California. Where they go on this migration up and down the coast depends upon the food that they eat. They follow the biomass of food. Out of the ocean, they eat things like herring, smelt, anchovies, squid. So they'll follow that food up and down. That food actually follows the ocean currents. So they'll hang out there while they're out there. Different types of predators. Predators that they have in freshwater, like bears and birds and things like that, are a little bit different out there. Out there, whales, orca whales. Orca whales eat a lot of salmon. In addition to orca whales, what else do you think are some predators out in the ocean?
Humans.
Humans. Recreational fishing.
Yep.
Recreational fishing, commercial fishing, seals, sea lions. Yep. So they'll be out there for 3 to 5 years making this migration, growing, being part of the food chain of predators. Then they decide it's time to come back to Issaquah Creek to spawn. It's closer to 3 years for coho, 5 years for Chinook. How do you think they find their way back?
Their sense of smell.
Sense of smell. They know what Issaquah Creek water smells like and tastes like.
They remember.
They remember. They imprint on it when they're growing. That's why we use Issaquah Creek water in the hatchery, in their trays. We use it outside. They know what it smells like and tastes like. There's also newer research that says that they have cells in their body along the longitudinal line of their body, so down the sides of their bodies on both sides, that are sensitive to magnetic fields. So that might have something to do with it as well. They can feel the magnetic field of the earth, and they're kind of like their own compass. There's also research that says that they remember landmarks and stars and things like that. But the primary way that we know that they find their way back is through their sense of smell. So they come back off the ocean, they come into Puget Sound, they start up through the Ship Canal, through the fish ladder, the locks. Once they enter that fresh water, that's when their body goes through all those changes. They stop eating, they stop feeling themselves, they change color, the males get the big hook nose. They come through Lake Washington, and we saw some sockeye today. Sockeye, what they typically do at Lake Washington is they turn south, they go down Lake Washington, and down here where number 3 is they go up the Cedar River. They followed the wrong leader, basically, and they came up this way. Yes, ma'am.
Why did they turn red?
It's just part of the changes that their body goes through.
Gray hair.
You know, it's just,
No, it's a similar thing.
You know, like the females, they get, instead of being all silvery, they turn black. They don't get as much red. Just a change that they go through. So they come up this way, they come down, they come through the lake, they come up Issaquah Creek, and the cycle starts all over again. I'm surprised there isn't more fish here today because of the rain. We know that there's a lot of fish hanging out in lake, down at the end of Lake Sammamish where the creek enters. They typically wait for a good rain. Why do you think they wait for a good rain out in the lake before they try and come up the creek?
So when the rivers fill up with water, and then it'll be easier.
It's easier for them once there's been a good rain. So typically they wait for a good rain, and then they come up like crazy. I wasn't here yesterday. There might have been quite a few here yesterday. Yes.
What if good rain comes early? What happens?
They still can come up. That's one of the reasons that they didn't take as many eggs yesterday, is because a lot of the females aren't ready yet, so they're here a little bit early. They're not ready to spawn yet. And those are the ones that they're taken out of the tank and sent upstream. They'll live in the stream for a while longer before they spawn.
Have hot chocolate. That's their family.
So they just follow the current of the weather.
They know the time. This is the time of year when they come back to spawn. So the Chinook, they come like late August, early September through mid-October. Late September, early October, the coho will start to come. And this is our last week of tours. Our last tour is actually tomorrow, because typically after this week, there's not a lot still coming. There's still some coming this year. So But this is like the end of our tour season, showing through the hatchery. So next Tuesday is the last scheduled spawning day as well. That may be extended if they don't get more eggs. So, okay, let's walk over to the hatchery building. Any questions while we're walking?
Yeah,